Lemon Ideas, and he will be the host of today's session. He is a first generation entrepreneur and a startup mentor. He's a thought leader in education, ecology, and entrepreneurship. He's an active promoter of mindfulness in entrepreneurship for planet and people. Now, the first co-host for today is Mr. Yashwant Suthar, sir. He's the founder of LooTell and Sanilogy. He's a social entrepreneur, an innovator in public toilet solutions, and he's totally dedicated to enhancing customer experiences by transforming public sanitation standards. Welcome to you, sir. Another co-host for today's session is Mr. Shrikanth Reddy. He is the founder and CEO of Hala Mobility. He has pioneered India's first multimodal EV shared platform. He is an expert in AI ML, big data analytics, and business intelligence. He is committed to innovation and sustainability. Welcome to you, Shrikant sir. Now, coming to today's topic, which is money is a reality. Let's make it sustainable. In this session, we are going to learn about financial literacy, explore the sustainable business practices related to money, and the ethical spending of money, and also a few new terms like microfinance. So, taking this introduction forwards, let's begin this gupshup. Over to you, Deepak sir.
Okay, thank you, Simran. Can you confirm my audio visuals, please?
Yes, sir. Everything is fine.
Okay, fantastic. So happy to be part of this another Sunday morning. सभी को मेरा नमस्कार. Good morning, सुप्रभात. So here we are another Sunday morning. Happy to see many fellow entrepreneurs part of this Gupshup today. So I think first of all, happy to have two of our prominent founders from the startup ecosystem. So this Gupshup also gives us an opportunity to keep reconnecting with my old old fellow entrepreneurs who have been to Lemon ecosystem in the past, and we have spent some good time together. And I'm always very happy to see their growth, their development, and the kind of success milestones which they have been achieving. So first, Yashwant Suthar, I think probably 5-6 years now that we have been knowing LooTell. I think LooTell participated in one of our programs at Lemon Ideas, and since then I've been seeing his entrepreneurial spirit, zeal, passion. He's among one of the prominent founders in the Madhya Pradesh Indore region, and we keep hearing about him here and there. So a fantastic concept of LooTell where the hygiene and sanitation goes to the next level. So that's first LooTell, and now I think he's doing something much more bigger in terms of the public health, public sanitation, where I think how data can be amplified. I think that's the kind of an vision that he has, and I keep talking to him whenever we get a chance, and we would surely explore more avenues, Yashwant, with you in future. So thank you, Yashwant. Thank you, Namaskar, and welcome to this Gupshup. Happy to see you after almost probably an year and a half kind of a break. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we have Shrikanth from Hala, Hyderabad. So I think Shrikanth has also been in our ecosystem for almost 2-3 years now. Aggressive founders working in the last mile connectivity, electric mobility is his passion, and I'm sure he is really on the roll, and Hala Mobility is already making waves. So happy to have you, Shrikanth, and happy to see you this wonderful morning. Namaskar.
Thanks for those kind words, sir. Lovely seeing you after so long time.
So I think somehow these gupshups are kind of becoming a reason for me, multiple reasons. It's like every Sunday morning I spend time with a lot of entrepreneurs. That's my motivation for the next 1 week. So that's how I take my energy from this 1 hour of capsule. Plus, I'm so happy to meet entrepreneurs, reconnecting with entrepreneurs like you and Yashwant, who have been with Lemon, been part of our ecosystem, and we keep looking at opportunities to collaborate and work together. So we welcome again both of you, Yashwant and Shrikanth. So going forward, for many who probably are joining this Gupshup for the first time, this is a very informal, open learning space. We call it, where the learning is absolutely through participation and through conversations. And there are no formalities here, since the number of participants in the Zoom room is always restricted. We encourage people to get into a lot of interactions. We encourage people to get into more of interactions and participation and dialogue. So for the benefit of the larger community, this is obviously live streamed and the video is shared with a lot of members who can take advantage of whatever we discuss, whatever we co-learn. So it's more of a co-learning, and it's more of a participative co-learning where everybody contributes and we kind of learn from each other. So that's the spirit here, where we are trying to build around the Gupshups. So happy to have a lot of familiar names. I think Mr. Venkat has been regularly there. Happy to see you, Venkatesh. I'm happy to see Prashant, Sanket, Gokhale, Yash, Vitthal, Krishna, Mansi, Sikandar, again joining from Srinagar, one of the very well-known names in the lemon ecosystem because he comes from Srinagar. Ritesh, Prashant, again an engineering student, have been regularly participating. Rutuja. So we welcome everyone to this episode of Gupshup. And so we'll get started now with the basic theme today is money is a reality. So yes, money is a reality. So there are 2-3 dimensions which I'll just open up, and then I would want my fellow co-host and others to contribute in my conversation thread. So as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a creator, we bring a lot of passion. We bring that energy and some belief, strong self-belief and strong passion that we want to do something. We want to make a change. We want to create something. We want to solve a problem. We want to innovate. So that passion and that energy takes a seat for sure when we are in that initial phase of kind of ideation, that initial phase of activation. So absolutely, that takes a pride, and that has to be the case. So that gives us that kind of a push and kick that okay, we finally reach a stage where we get really serious and committed to really starting up. So that's one part of it. The second part of it, after some time, uh, as an entrepreneur, I've also gone through the same experiences. I still go through that experiences where we realize केवल पैशन एनर्जी से काम नहीं चलेगा, कहीं ना कहीं पैसा और money is a hard reality. So on many forums that's not spoken so obviously. I don't know why people hesitate, but then मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि money is a hard reality. We all have to understand the without money, I don't think we can fuel anything to move forward. So एक एक जैसे एक कोई एक कोई एक कोई एक कोई टू व्हीलर होता है जिसको आप शायद खुद धक्का लगा लगा के थोड़े टाइम तक चला लेंगे, बट देन आप उस टू व्हीलर को बहुत लंबा अपनी खुद की एनर्जी से धक्का लगा के नहीं चला पाएंगे. सो दिस इज वेयर you need an external fuel or a petrol or a diesel, and that's what I relate it as money. So money becomes a reality. There is a need of a money, and how can we get money into this engine that it moves on its own, and then when required, we can increase the pedestal speed. We can increase the speed. We can increase the kind of distance that we want to cover. So शुरुआत में पैशन एनर्जी से काम अच्छा शुरू हो जाता है. वी आर इन दैट मोटिवेशन. आफ्टर सम टाइम देयर इज अ मनी विच इज रिक्वायर्ड. तो एक्टिवेशन के लिए मनी कहाँ से आ सकता है? सो दैट्स वन थ्रेड विच आई जस्ट वांटेड टू open up for the audience and my fellow co-host की when we finally land on ground, we realize कि अब there is a need of some petrol. कुछ fuel चाहिए गाड़ी को आगे चलाने के लिए. So that's the first source. That's the first source that we need some money. First need that we realize that money is required to get the engine going. That initial torque, that initial force is required, and that force usually is in form of some resources, some kind of money, some kind of funding that we really generate to create that initial torque. Once the torque is generated, the engine keeps moving, and then there is obviously the need of money on a regular basis. The petrol will obviously get exhausted. The tank will come to a reserve level, and then you start realizing, oh my God, now we are at a reserve level. Ab petrol bharna padega. So that is where I think the idea of the value creation comes, where while the engine is running, are we generating that value for the customer that this petrol gets filled automatically in the engine? So this is where I think the value creation, the customer, the the kind of clarity on the customer problem, the solutioning, the monetization, so-called all those technical jargons comes into play, because अब this engine has to generate value. It can't always depend upon an external petrol pump पे जाके हमेशा बाहर से पेट्रोल भराने के लिए. I don't think we can have that model for long. So this engine should be able to generate its own fuel, its own energy, and that's what we call it, where the revenue has to come in at some point of time. The sales cycle has to result into this fuel, and the engine keeps moving, keeps moving. The third stage is where अब हमको लग रहा है कि अब हम now I think there is a point where we want to take our scooter from a city roads to a state highway, or maybe from a state highway to a national highway, and now we think we are confident of our driving. We know अब ये मेरा scooter बहुत दूर तक जा सकता है. It has that what is required to run, to move very, very fast, and that's where you need again some external torque, where you need some external push further to bring your vehicle on a highway where the speed can really go high, where you can scale up all those technical jargons of scaling up, growing, business growth, and all that. So you again need some external fuel, maybe to manage your expenses in form of working capital, or to fuel your acceleration through an external funding, which can move you at a high speed on a highway where you know that you are here for a long run and you would want to move very fast and achieve those kind of results probably which you have dreamed of. So this is another point where you need money. You need money to run fast, and that's where an external talk again, एक बाहरी स्रोत चाहिए, बाहरी कुछ तो कुछ हमको एक बाहरी स्रोत ढूंढना पड़ता है जहां से हमको ये फिर से हमारे टैंक में पेट्रोल बड़ी तादाद में आ जाए, और फिर हमारी गाड़ी को हम आगे और तेजी से भगा पाएंगे. So I think all this is something where it revolves around to, though our intentions are good, though we want to do good for the people, though we are solving a good problem, though people are getting benefited, so everything all said and done, but at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, money continues to be a reality, and I think we cannot ignore it. So that's where I think we have to somewhere find a right balance कि बॉस पैसा भी चाहिए, हमको इम्पैक्ट भी करना है, प्रॉब्लम भी सॉल्व करनी है, मोटिवेटेड भी रहना है, पैशन भी बढ़ाना है, बट कहीं ना कहीं मनी की रिक्वायरमेंट भी है, और उसको फुलफिल करने के लिए वी हैव टू कीप our smartness open. We have to keep our all senses open and look forward to how do we make sure that this engine doesn't stop. That's one of the biggest struggle and challenges for any entrepreneur like me and you कि बॉस ये इंजन बंद नहीं करना, इंजन चलते रहना चाहिए. A lot of people keep asking me, यार तुम जिस स्पेस में काम कर रहे हो 10-11 साल से भी तुम लगे हो विदाउट एनी मेजर एक्सटर्नल पेट्रोल पंप के पास जाने के बिना भी, क्या पागलपन है. तो आई कीप सेइंग कि यार वो somehow I've been able to manage my internal energy का फ्यूल ही शायद ज्यादा बड़ा है, तो मैं शायद गाड़ी खींच रहा हूँ, and we are still surviving. A lot of people are very surprised कि तुम अभी भी जिंदा हो. मतलब people ask me, भाई तुम अभी जिंदा हो? मैंने कहा हम जिंदा भी हैं और खुश भी हैं और काम भी कर रहे हैं और आनंद भी ले रहे हैं. So I think this is what we all try to achieve, but at the finally कहीं ना कहीं दिमाग के बैकग्राउंड में ये बात हमेशा चलती रहती है कि बॉस पैसा है, रियलिटी है, पैसे के अराउंड वी हैव टू एड्रेस द रियलिटी, द नीड ऑफ मनी, एंड how best we use this money also is something which makes a difference. So that's the context that I wanted to set for today in terms of the Gupshup ke boss. Money is the reality, and we have to keep looking for how to address this reality and make sure that the reality of money as a need doesn't takes over our belief, passion, energy, and we really get to a kind of a vicious circle. If you start chasing money, that becomes a problem again. So so I think somewhere or the other there is a it's easy to say, it's very hard to do. I've gone through, I still go through this kind of dilemmas on a regular basis in my journey, that was how can we still chase our goal and not really chase money. Money comes automatically, but then the reality is money is required, and how do we balance this thought? How do we balance it out? So that's a question in front of us, and how Yashwant and how Srikanth has been able to address this kind of challenges of money as a reality at various points of their career and entrepreneurial journey is what is we would want to also hear from them. So Yashwant, over to you. We would want to hear how have you been managing this fact, money is a reality.
So thank you. Thanks, sir, for inviting to me on that. Money is the harsh reality. It's not a reality, it's the harsh reality. And it depends upon the actually your journey, where you want to go, what kind of the vehicle you are building. And so especially one more thing I want to add you, it can be harsh, depend upon your positions also. Like the people who are coming from the college, so might be they are the only backpacker. So they don't have a luggage on their backside, like a family luggage, kids luggage, and then so that time they need a little money, but to survival to their personal life. At the same time, when your age grow, like that money become a more harsh and harsh and harsh. So I'm completely agree with you. It can be business cannot be run always on the external view, and if it can become a more self-sustainable early, it will be helpful for us also. And it can be depend on your business model first of all. What I do understand, and your business model keep evolving. It will keep evolving. You do the mistakes, you learn, and you again do the mistakes, again learn, and again do the mistake, and you know your myth become your myth become a completely in reality. Okay, ये नहीं होता है. Whatever you plan, it's for plan for play. Whatever you have planned, it's getting failed. And when we are in the social impact, where again social impact is one of the biggest harsh reality for the investor perspective also. The investor doesn't come into more in the social business because they know they are more first motivated to do the social service. Then the second is the so making money. An investor always see you one point क्या कितना कैसे मिलेगा. उनका एक ही माइंड में होता है लाइक बढ़िया टाइप की कितना चाहिए कैसे मिलेगा और कब मिलेगा because they are doing the investment. So it's completely depend upon your planning as well as your stage where you are, what kind of the liberty you have. Like Warren Buffett always say the overall lottery. I like that word. The overall lottery is a situation where you have, if you are the backpacker, so you have a great overall lottery with you. You doesn't have a family responsibility. You doesn't have any kind of nearby big financial crisis in your life. You do not have EMIs also. Or same time, you have enough time to fail. If you are age of 20, you can fail till 40 years, 30 years, whatever. So you have 10 years to fail every time. And after the failing, you can settle anywhere other also. Still, you will have a 30-year life of the job life. So you can estimate that. So when you are planning the business, so first you need to calculate out the first money where you come from. It might be the government grant also, it might be the pension family, it might be savings also. After that, you need to create that model. Okay, how can I get money from myself? And always keep in your mind that nowadays that see the Byju's is getting failed. Big brand is getting failed because it was the external fuel brand. Yeah, just keep going, keep going, keep going. There was the only one thing there was that invest, and then that time investment has stopped. The brand has stopped that. So you need to think about your brand model also, some business model also, how we are working there, how we are going there, what kind of expenditure we have, what kind of the funds we have. So you need to plan for that. We are in the business more than 8 years. It's ninth year is coming in. So 8 years we have more than 100 times cash out. It's like a cash out more than 100 times we have been paid because we are the bootstrap till now. So we are trying to generate, we are sustaining the business.
यशवंत, सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट यू, आपके अनुभव के हिसाब से पहली बार जब आपको ये महसूस हुआ था मनी की जो हार्श रियलिटी जो आपने बोला, वो कौन सा दौर था, क्या समय था वो? कैन यू रिकलेक्ट दैट एंड वेरी क्विकली शेयर दैट एक्सपीरियंस की फर्स्ट टाइम जब आपने ये महसूस किया कि यार पैसा है रियलिटी, के बिना नहीं चलेगा, केवल मेरी इंटेंशन जील पैशन से काम नहीं चलेगा, आई नीड टू हैव मनी ऑल्सो, व्हाट वाज दैट कब हुआ था ये आपके साथ?
I had a 8 year corporate life. So corporate life 30 on the 30th that the message credited, your account credited. So I had that kind of the lifestyle, and after that COVID, in the COVID was literally it's too harsh for us. And after the COVID, we got to know that at the 29th June, I didn't have a single rupees in my pocket. After that, second lockdown, no, first down, lockdown, second lockdown, 29 June 2020. I
जी
didn't have a single rupee in my pocket. And my office boys, when he's staying in the office and while lockdown, he called me, sir, ma'am called me, the आटा लेके आना. So I do, okay. कि मेरे को कैसे? तो बोले कि तेरे पास मतलब I have given the money for the expenditure, office expenditure. Sir, my money is finished. Okay, let me do that. I figured out, you can't believe we sold the inverter battery. It
या
was unused the inverter battery in town. We sold that inverter, we get a ration for that.
राइट
And then we have realized that in lockdown, because nobody knows how we plan in the lockdown.
यस
And that was the literally harsh reality that you cannot build the business without the contingency plan. So
राइट
there's a contingency also, no?
Yeah. So I agree with you, and I think 2 3 things were very good highlighted by Yashwant. एक तो कि आपका जो रिस्क एपेटाइट है, वो रिस्क एपेटाइट डायरेक्टली डिसाइड्स योर फोकस और योर नीड ऑफ मनी, एंड दैट डिपेंड्स अपॉन आपकी उम्र कितनी है, आपके पास परिवार की क्या 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 आपके पास जिम्मेदारियां हैं, आप कौन सी स्टेज में अपने अपने लाइफ के आप रिस्क लेना चाहते हैं. सो younger the age, the risk appetite is high, and as you grow older, the risk appetite goes low. But then you are more better off in terms of your own resourcefulness and your funding. So I think somewhere or the other, आपका रिस्क एपेटाइट रियली डिसाइड्स कि मनी की जो हार्श रियलिटी है वो आपके ऊपर कितनी हावी रहेगी. सो दैट्स वन आई थिंक प्रोमिनेंट पॉइंट विच केम आउट ऑफ यशवंत. एंड yes, I agree with you कि when you have no money, I think you really feel the 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 highest degree of this harsh reality. And believe me, मतलब in my journey I have gone through this situation multiple times. तो अब मुझे उतना भय खौफ नहीं लगता है. मतलब अब वो 2 3 बार ऐसी स्थिति आ गई है, और ईश्वर की कृपा रही है कि समहाउ जब जब भी ऐसी सिचुएशन आती थी कि यार कल क्या होगा, आई डोंट नो, कुछ तो कुछ ईश्वर का आशीर्वाद रहता है कि कुछ ना कहीं से गाड़ी चढ़ पड़ती है. तो इंजन बंद नहीं हुआ, इंजन चलता रहा. चाहे उसकी कभी कभार उसकी शायद गति कम हो जाती है, हम बढ़ा देते हैं, बट आई थिंक यस, वंस यू गो थ्रू दैट बॉटम, फिर शायद ये जो सो कॉल्ड मनी का जो फियर है वो शायद थोड़ा सा निकल जाता है. एंड आई एग्री विथ यू ऑन दैट सेशन. थैंक यू फॉर दोज ऑफ योर व्यूज. नाउ आई मूव टू श्रीकांत. Shrikant, what your take on this money as a reality? What do you want to comment upon based on your own experiences?
Yeah, I mean, beautifully put by you and Yashwant already, Deepak sir, as a money as a harsh reality, and other way around, where you narrated it as गाड़ी को fuel करना पड़ेगा, accelerate करना पड़ेगा, धक्का भी मारना पड़ेगा. In this 3 years and 9 months of my journey, I think I've done 3 of these steps. Where we initially started by just fueling the startup journey. Later, jaise badhte gaye, how angel investors came in, put money, we scaled up. At the same time, January 21, 2024, मैंने देखा हाईवे पे जाके धक्का मारना भी पड़ा. And you know, abhi jab when you're trying to reach that level, because I don't come from a finance background, I don't come from management background, I'm a tech guy. And jab ye operations karna pada, learning about more about management, more about finances. One of the lessons that my father said is, पैसे तो बहुत सारे हैं दुनिया में. How do you want to utilize it? Are you able to manage it? So as we also see, 82% of the startups just fail because of the cash flows. The moment we are not disciplined, the moment we are not able to understand how our business runs, then how much ever money we raise is gonna end someday. The biggest companies who raised millions and millions of dollars still crash because they don't know if they are financially disciplined. Are their revenues enough for the future cash flows? Are they able to sustain themselves? And will they be organically growing month on month, year on year, quarter on quarter basis? So, for everyone, there are a number of ways to get funding. It can be angels, VCs, you term it as Series A, Series B, Series C, or paise utana part 1, paise utana part 2, paise utana part 3, in your whole journey. This jargon, this whatever we see in the media, I really don't want to believe, because after spending 6 to 8 months, as I mentioned just now, January 21, 2024, I was in a state, shall I shut down the shop, right? And then I was fortunate, I was privileged, I had a backup, and it was my parents who just pushed me forward, saying that this is just a hurdle, and these hurdles are going to come. And now, if you want to just step back, how are you going to lead the show? You have 112 people, family who you need to take care of. You're just looking at yourself at this point. So everyone has to look at one important thing, which is cash flow, because I'm a not-for-profit organization. Social impact organizations, again, they go through a different aspects, different troubles, different problem statements, which I really don't know, right? NGOs go through a different set of problems, which I really don't know. But people who are building for the profit organizations, I think the first and most important aspect is your financial discipline. I say so you can bring it revenue-based finance, invoice discounting, asset को back करके कुछ ना कुछ capital लाके project finance भी कर सकते हो. It's not always the VCs who are going to fund you. Before even they fund you, are you able to utilize the $1,000, $100 that are saved in your bank account that you can wisely use? I think that is what I would love to say.
Wonderful. I think Shrikanth, I think this is a fantastic combination where your story has been more around raising money, and then there is another story of Yashwant who has been working mostly on the bootstrap model. So a fantastic combinations to bring the real insights here. So I think you rightly said, Shrikanth, the private investors are the most greedy funders. So इस पूरी chain में, if you look at the friends and family, banks, government grants versus private investors, so in सब में the most greedy person would be private investors, because उनके नाम में ही investor है. So investor means greed. So that's how I take it. This. So obviously, yes. One thing you said fantastically कि जितना भी पैसा आएगा खत्म होना ही है. So I think absolutely very well said कि whatever money you get, it's going to end one day. So it could be 100 rupees or it could be even 100 crores. So it will end one day, and unless you have that mechanism that your vehicle can generate its own fuel, it's not going to get lost for sure. It's not going to happen for long, because externally आप कब तक dependent चलोगे? एक बार ले लोगे, 2 बार ले लोगे, 3 बार ले लोगे, and the whole process you are diluting your stakes also. So I think there can always be a debate on this, but yes, there is a need for money to grow speed. That's also required. At the same time, there has to be a mechanism that you can generate your own fuel. So I think yes, that's the reality, and and then raising money from outside is also not that easy as it is highlighted in media. So वो somehow one thing probably which I absolutely disagree, and I completely have a different opinion कि ये in the recent times entrepreneurship has become synonym to startup, and startup has become synonym to private funding. तो ये जो entrepreneurship equal to startup and startup equal to investor money. So ये somehow I think कि जो core entrepreneurial spirit है, that is not around raising money from private investors for sure. The core entrepreneurial spirit has to be about I do something which is solving some fundamental problem, and there are people who are ready to pay money for me because their pain is being addressed. So if you have the right pill, there has to be someone to pay you for the pill because that pill is addressing some problem. So that's the fundamental reality. And ठीक है, to achieve that phase, you might need some time, you might need some money, but there has to be one fine day where your pill is addressing some pain and there is a gain out of this pain. So वो I think मेरे हिसाब से वो बहुत बड़ी एक वास्तविकता है जो a lot of times I keep meeting a lot of young entrepreneurs जो आपके बराबर ही उनका पहला स्टेटमेंट है कि I'm building this platform, I'm building an app, and I need to raise money. मतलब the first two statement itself says कि बहुत fundamentally there's something wrong here. Go back to drawing board and then figure it out कि आप actually क्या करना चाहते हैं. So that intention of actually becoming an entrepreneur to raise money, I think somewhere I would want to have a quick take on this from Yashwant and Shrikanth, both of you on this. How do you want to react to this kind of situation? Yashwant?
Hi. Sorry, मैं interrupt हो गया था. Someone else came in to that.
Yeah, so I was trying to know, Yashwant, कि ये जो आजकल के a lot of youngsters they start on their entrepreneurial dream with a very clear objective कि mind में उनके होता है कि मुझे पैसा raise करना है. How do you want to react to this? Very quick.
बहुत सिंपल है सर. ये सब न्यूज से आता है, सोशल मीडिया से आता है.
Yes.
वो फैशन है ना कि आज इसने इतना राइज किया, आज इसने इतना राइज किया, आज इसने इतना राइज किया. Does your money requirement first you need to figure it out. Does your business model require that money or not? मैं ये मानता हूँ कि money at what cost you are getting for it. That investment has a cost. What liberty you are giving to the investor? What kind of the privilege giving to the investor? He will come on those privilege like a board seat, and he will change the complete business model also. I have met with the multiple people with that who think that the business model has this problem. Why don't you do this? 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 But at what cost we are getting first is the first priority for me on always. Yes. Second thing is that do you require a fund or not? The best business model is a self-sustainable business model, which is always I know that. Because if you are getting some co-driver on your seat, it's always on your, है ना. इन्वेस्टर में आपने बोला ना, इन्वेस्ट होता है साथ में टर भी होता है. You know.
Yashwant, thank you. I'll just quickly interrupt you here. So I'm sorry for this. Shrikanth, what's your take on this? Youngsters starting their dreams with the objective of raising money.
Yeah, I would strongly say don't be delusional. Don't look at news and understand कि startup is a crazy journey. पैसे उठा पाएंगे आराम से. वो एक news article print करने में maybe overnight there is a PR guy who is pushing that out, but the founders have to go through 6 to 12, 13, 18, 24 months also to raise that capital, right? घर घर को जाके email लिख के call करके it's literally like spending your energy in raising money rather than building your thing. Till the time you are not getting money into your bank account, it is not done. Term sheets are not your monies. So with the assumption of what is happening in the market to what is happening here, I would say that mindset has to be completely changed. As you rightly mentioned, entrepreneurship equal to startup equal world to fundraise. This has become so prevalent now कि मैं startup बनाऊंगा ताकि मैं पैसे बना पाऊंगा. At the end, yes, we are here to make money, but the end goal should not be related to what you're trying to build. What you're building will have a lot of impact. It can be social, environmental, economical, a lot of impact. Money is still part of it. Money we are still making, but it's not the only thing. It's a subsequent thing that has to come out, right? That's my take. And do not think raising funds is easy. No one has free money. Everybody might ask something else. Today someone who is putting money in fixed deposit might ask you 10% instead of 6% what he gets.
Right.
But someone who is putting money in private equity can ask from, instead of asking for 12, he may ask for 18.
Yes.
It's different for different segment of people who are investing money in different pockets.
Yes. So I think very, very quick point from Shrikanth. Raising money is not easy. There's always a big dilemma that I've been talking to many founders. Every round you try to raise money, hours and hours of entrepreneurial efforts have gone into it. A lot of times they become non-productive because you don't reach at the end of the tunnel. And there is always this thought कि अगर ये समय मैंने मेरे काम पे लगाया होता तो शायद I would have made some more progress than just chasing few investors day in and day out. So that's the kind of dilemma that we all have, and that's a hard reality. The raising money is not easy, and what we see is the final outcome, which is kind of shown in media, but the reality behind कि वो फंड रेस करने के पीछे में क्या नहीं क्या क्या हुआ है वो I think is not really known, and out of 100 people only one is able to raise money. That's also a reality which is probably not known. So people only look at कि यार उसने फंड रेस कर लिया तो मुझे भी मिल जाएगा. So with this I think I'll quickly open up for the audience here, for the participants here. Since we have a limited people in the Zoom room, we can take this advantage of people can directly unmute. Please unmute whomsoever has any question. Please raise your hand, or you can simply unmute and please join the conversation here. I request anyone from the participants. I hope you are able to unmute. Yes, yes, Mr. Venkatesh, please go ahead.
I really loved a couple of things today. One was when you said that people who are not so young, they have certain kind of stability and they can afford to do things. So I identify a lot with that. You can guess why. Something I want to share with the rest of the audience is, if you're building a tech-based solution, there is NVIDIA and there is Microsoft and Amazon AWS that are going out of their way to seduce startups. Okay. Thanks to a Microsoft startup sponsorship for my startup, for the next at least 2 years from now, I'm not worried about income to cover the costs of the cloud. Okay, for the next 2 years. So thanks to them, we found a very, very interesting AI solution that we hadn't thought of earlier. And actually, they had contacted us because of my previously failed startup during COVID. That's a long story in itself. During COVID, we had a travel tech startup and we were targeting the international airports in India. So timing was brilliant. But anyway, because of that, we had been in touch with Microsoft. And when they came to know about my second startup, then they approached us and they challenged us, asking us why we hadn't thought of AI yet. This was in July last year. And now we have an international first product that uses AI, even in English, and soon to be available in Hindi. So while we run after friends and family, do remember that even Google sometimes comes up with specific AI related funding for India, for the Indian market, for the Indian startups. So while we look at grants, etc., let us not overrule these big players. NVIDIA is very aggressive these days. So do check them out, because that could help you at least cover the cloud costs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think a good point added by Mr. Venkatesh, that apart from the government grant, private equity funding, friends and family, working capital from bank loans, there is this another source of money, which is a lot of these tech companies offer a lot of freebies to entrepreneurs through many schemes, which could be credit schemes, credit points what they give. apart from that, they also give direct money. For example, Facebook is running a lot of such programs where if you are building something around Facebook or Meta, they're ready to fund you, support you. If there are similar schemes by Microsoft, Google as well. So yes, I think a good point for any entrepreneur who is trying to build something on the tech side, they can look at such schemes as well to source their money requirement here. So thank you, Mr. Venkatesh. I'll request if anyone has some more burning thought or any specific point that you want to make here, or have any question from the participants here in terms of your story, in terms of your own experiences of money as a reality, please do contribute. Maybe Prashant Jha, if you want to add something to this conversation.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, Prashant ji.
ना मैं बेसिकली पूरे बात में वही सोच रहा था कि दो टाइप के हम लोग को मिलेंगे लोग, जो एक तो जो वाकई कोई प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना चाहते हैं, और एक जो स्टार्टअप के नाम पे बस पैसा कमाना चाहते हैं। एज ए इन्वेस्टर जो होते हैं, उन लोग के दिमाग में कैसे चलता है इन लोग को डिफरेंशिएट करना, और उनका प्रेफरेंस क्या रहेगा?
Yeah, I think absolutely fantastic. So Prashant ji, that is the reason why 1 out of 100 only gets funding. So probably as an investor also, when I look at a lot of proposals which keeps coming to me, so though my hunt is for specific my interest areas where I would want to build some kind of problems being addressed or some kind of solutioning. But yes, the reality is कि investors घुड़सवार पे पैसा लगाते हैं, बहुत बार घोड़े पे नहीं लगाते हैं। तो अगर घुड़सवार जो है, जो एक एंटरप्रेन्योर है, जो एक फाउंडर है, अगर वो आई थिंक घोड़े चलाने की क्षमता रखता है, उसका पैशन, उसका इंटेंशन, उसका जो एक डीप रूटेड बिलीफ टू सॉल्व समथिंग अगर स्ट्रांग है, तो आई थिंक वो एक घुड़सवार है जो शायद घोड़ा अगर आगे पीछे उसको बदलना भी पड़ा तो घोड़े को दौड़ा देगा। बट घोड़े पे पैसा लगाना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल होता है, बिकॉज अगर घोड़ा बहुत अच्छा भी है और अगर घुड़सवार अच्छा नहीं है तो वो घोड़े के साथ जस्टिस नहीं कर पाएगा। सो आई थिंक समवेयर और द अदर this multiple round of discussions, conversations, and I know one reason why investors take time to finalize a deal is to test this घुड़सवार। क्योंकि एक दिन, 2 मीटिंग, 3 मीटिंग में आप अपने आप को there are agencies who train you to create an
हाँ,
artificial self to impress people or impress investors। जैसे हमारे कॉलेजों में आजकल वाइवा में कैसे अपने फैकल्टी को इम्प्रेस करना, इसके ऊपर भी ट्रेनिंग होने लग गई है कि आप कॉलेज में जब प्रैक्टिकल वाइवास में आपको कैसे इम्प्रेस करना है, प्लस आपको जॉब इंटरव्यूज में कैसे लोगों को इम्प्रेस करना है। तो सिमिलरली इन्वेस्टर्स को कैसे इम्प्रेस करने के लिए भी देयर आर लॉट ऑफ सो कॉल्ड मेकओवर टेक्निक्स बीइंग गिवन, बट the reason why investors take some time is to make this assessment not just based on one night kind of discussion, or maybe one day kind of discussion, or 2 meetings or 3 meetings. So we also at Lemon have always believed कि जब एक entrepreneur हमारे साथ जुड़ता है तो हम कम से कम 6-8 महीना उसको देखते हैं, उसके साथ मल्टीपल इंटरेक्शन होते हैं, उसके बाद ही हमको कॉन्फिडेंस आता है कि should we take this startup or this entrepreneur to an investor, or should we recommend them or not? Because you can't simply rely upon 1 or 2 meetings. So वो जो होता है ना, असलियत जो होती है, वास्तविकता जो सोच की होती है, जो आप बहुत देर तक नहीं छुपा सकते हैं, and that is where the human psychology comes into play, which I think is something that I personally believe a lot. And maybe I would want Shrikanth, do you want to react to this since you have an experience of raising money? Shrikanth?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
yes,
Yeah. So, as from my point of view, again, as I said, raising capital is not an easy job. I was thinking of sharing the recent activity that happened where I spent 6 months to 8 months of time where, I'm a Series A startup. सीरीज स्टेज स्टार्टअप में आई वेंट टू अ ग्लोबल फंड ने कहा पीडब्ल्यूसी को लेके आओ। पीडब्ल्यूसी को कैसे हैंडल करना मुझे तो पता ही नहीं, एंड केपीएमजी को हैंडल कैसे करना मुझे पता ही नहीं, एंड दे वर आस्किंग मी टू गो थ्रू अ होल लॉट ऑफ प्रोसेस। स्पेंट 8 months। उसको पता था कि मेरे पास रनवे है फॉर द नेक्स्ट 12 months। By the time I finished my whole conversation from term sheet, from the initial understanding to definitive agreements, it became 8 months. By the 8 months, I had very little of money, and now they try to squeeze everything out of me. इतने डायरेक्टर को लेके आएंगे, इतना प्लेज करो। The moment you are pledging your equity for someone else as a guarantee, it itself is a negative sign. Why would someone else come tomorrow to invest in this? इसी ये पूरे चीज हो गया जनवरी 21 2024। आई वाज लाइक नहीं होगा ये, और मेरे पास अभी है सिर्फ 2 महीने के पैसे, मैं क्या करूं? So it is also, it is not an easy job to raise funds. We think funds have funds, but at the same time, there are only Dhikawat funds. There are many funds that just do window shopping also. There are some people who are just there to understand the competition. They are just there to validate their thesis. तो हमको जितना उन लोग हमारे ऊपर ड्यू डिलिजेंस करते हैं, हम भी वो फंड के ऊपर उतना ही ड्यू डिलिजेंस करके एंटर करना इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। नहीं तो एट द एंड वी हैव पुट इन आवर sweat, blood, everything into our entity. At the end, we are going to lose everything for someone else's bharosa and we did not get that money into our account. It's just on paper.
Fantastic. I think very, very valid point where it's not just that you need investors. I think probably investors need you more desperately than you need investors. Because at some point of time, you are creating a value where you will be able to have a sustainable revenue model and you will be able to still walk, may not be run or may not have a super seat, but still, you will be still be able to walk. But then for investors who have money and who want to make money out of investing money, they are also desperate to get some good proposals. So I think that's desperation is on the both sides. So we have to respect that and accordingly handle and at the same time, yes, बहुत कुछ होता है, बहुत कुछ दिखावा होता है. In fact, we are talking to few founders who have been on a reality show. They never got any money. It was all showbazi, and now they are kind of collaborating with us कि सर हम मिलके एक reality show बनाते हैं जिसमें actually हम लोगों को पैसा दे पाए. So I think that's how the reality is, and yes. Paisa hai, that doesn't mean, though yes, everybody runs behind it, but at the same time we have to be very, very conscious and have a lot of awareness about, is that the right investor for me? I think that a question which many of us really doesn't ask कि boss, just because उसके पास पैसा है भी कि नहीं ये भी मालूम नहीं है, केवल बोल रहा है पैसा है, पर पैसा है ये भी नहीं मालूम है और पैसा एक्चुअली देना है ये भी नहीं मालूम है. तो ये दो सवालों के जवाब नहीं होने की वजह के बावजूद भी हम उसके पीछे में रन करें, ऐसा आई थिंक वी हैव टू हैव आवर ओन कॉन्शियस कि हमको सच में कहाँ से पैसा रेस करना है. सो आई थिंक ए वेल पॉइंट टेकन. Yeah, Yashri, you want to add anything?
Yeah. So what I was also trying to add a different tangent to this. उनके पास अभी पैसे नहीं हो पाएंगे, पर मे बी they are raising fund for their fund and they are now shortlisting the startups. उस जर्नी में भी हम फंस जाएंगे क्योंकि उसको फंड रेज करने में, शॉर्टलिस्ट करके रखने में there is some time for it, right? And we are wasting our time in that process where we are desperately in need of money. And अभी दीपक जी ने और एक पॉइंट बताया था कि इन्वेस्टर्स को एक desperation रहती है, but then how do we create that desperation? There are training agencies these days on how to create that FOMO in investors, because the same kind of a startups are hundreds of numbers, and how do you stand out in that? So I think choosing what needs to be done, and अगर आप reality show में जा रहे हो, be conscious of what you want from that show. Is it money? Is it the fame? Is it the visibility? Is it your marketing spends less? Think about different tangents, and I think money, it's not always about the paper, it's not about the monies that are there in your account, but without without visibility, there is a money added to it, which is your brand recall value through a lot of other activities that you just be there. And I was about to say one pointer around this let me just recall and then put that point out.
Yeah, Shri, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Hello?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So जैसा आपके केस में हुआ कि वो काफी टाइम लगा है, तो how much is it that it is their due diligence process, और कितना उसमें ऐसा आपको फीलिंग है कि जानबूझ के आपको एकदम डेस्परेट सिचुएशन में ला रहे हैं ताकि ज्यादा इक्विटी ले सकें?
That, the moment you are in a sea, you are not understanding. जब डूब गए हो, डूबते ही जा रहे हो, right?
हाँ.
For you to understand, to come out of it, it takes a lot of time. So in my case, it was one and two instances. I'm still not able to care how do I come out of it, how do I understand the red flags in that whole discussion. But typically say, if it's an angel, I think why angels take lesser time is they don't really bet only on your business. They don't look at your returns, but rather they try to be part of your journey, right? That's why they're called as angels. And उनके लिए मैंने फाउंडर के ऊपर भरोसा रख रहा हूँ. मेरे एक छोटा चेक है, मेरे पास पड़े हुए हैं पैसे, and maybe I think this founder would do a lot of magic, and that's why they'll be part, and your whole journey of getting your money will be quicker. And unlike VCs, yeah, different types of category funds, they have different set of compliances that they have to go through with the RBIs of the world, SEBIs of the world. So for them, they go in like typical format of documents. Though IC पे जाएंगे, IC पे जाने के बाद, we will have our partners call के बाद. It can go from as small as 3 rounds of conversation to 6 rounds of conversation. उसके बाद due diligence start होगा. उनके लीगल टीम अवेलेबिलिटी, हमारे लीगल टीम अवेलेबिलिटी, बैक एंड फोर्थ क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज एज अ स्टार्टअप वी आर ओनली इन एग्जीक्यूशन, वी नेवर लुक एट द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, विच इज अ वेरी बैड थिंग, बिकॉज जितना भी हमारे पास यू नो द जितना भी हमारे पास compliance एंगल रहेंगे, we also need to have that governance question, people would say, right? So governance is something we have to always look into our startup so that any of this due diligence process becomes quicker. आपके पास अगर month on month MIS है, returns है, taxes है, GSTs है, everything is in place, then I think it's matter of some time to give it to the legal guys.
Sure. I think yes, doing work is one thing, and having evidences of doing work is also equally important. So that's what is required when it comes to documentation. की because वो व्यक्ति आपको काम करते हुए देख नहीं रहा है, so he'll need evidences कि आपने क्या काम किया है, and that's what the documentation gets into play. So we'll quickly move. If I think Ravindra, if you have something you want to add to this conversation, Ravindra.
Hello, sir. I have two questions, sir. The first one is how can startup balance the need for capital with the desire of retain control and equity? And the second one is how to approach these kind of angel investor. Is there any platform that you approach them, something like that?
Yeah. So I think maybe Shrikanth, you want to go first on this?
Yeah, about platforms or any such, I don't think there is any platform that gives you these are the list of funds and these are the names of people, these are the contact numbers. It is just about networking, how well you are active on your, the social circles, the the accelerators or incubators or within your fellow founders, and try to understand who is actually investing, who are actually having monies, and what are their contact details, get the referrals, because referrals only work quicker than you cold calling and you cold emailing them. Because if there is a example, someone who has invested in me, who has traveled with me for 2-3 years, now if I go and pitch him, hey, there's a great opportunity, why don't you evaluate, he will quickly do that rather you going and dropping an email, right? So I think it is, sometimes people say the networking is overrated, but yes, I understand overrated, but for some activities it is actually underrated, which is in this kind of activities where you want to raise funds, because there is no single platform which gives you the entire list of funds that are available. Even if you go to MCA portal and say, I want category A funds that are available in India, you don't know if that category A fund, category B fund, 1, 2 categories are actually investing into startups, or are they actually doing a P kind of a investment into other venture capital. So for us to judge, it's not our thing. I think we need to have a right investment banker with us, right guidance, right mentor, right incubator with us to solve this kind of problems and help us show direction. Because the moment you try to get into this, I think we are going to waste a lot of time by doing this. Rather, we seek for some help. And in terms of how do you manage your equity to your or the fundraise to your control over the board is how do you find your investment, right? Like, is investment really needed to you, needed for you, needed for your entity? Just because someone is raising money, I don't need to raise money, right? Say example, I'm starting up a factory. Do I really need to raise money? Am I eligible to raise money? That self-awareness is something that we have to create and see what kind of funding do I need to get? Is it a grant? Is it some kind of secured loans? Is it kind of government-based securitized funds, which can be CGT MSC? Today, CGT MSC gives you 5 crores of limits. How many of us actually know that we are eligible for 5 crores of fund as long as we are profitable by 1 rupee at least, right? So we need to evaluate, we need to understand these kind of things. Not grants only will run forever, but government support based funds is something that we need to explore, where you really don't need to dilute anything. And then there is revenue based finance. You have 100 rupees of revenue. Someone is taking that bet on you and giving you funding for it. There's invoice discounting. There is inventory based financing. There is supply chain funding. So these are the ways I think you can take use of the funds. Again, or everything, you're just not taking the money because it's again a liability on you. And for all these liabilities, you need to ensure your cash flows are right, your finances are in disciplined format that you can repay, and it will not hamper your any of your CIBIL Experian reports that will hamper your future growth, because that itself is a part of your due diligence aspect or fundraise aspect, right? So it's a very long journey, long book that we can discuss forever.
So this was more of an interaction to ignite the aspects of money as a reality. I'm sure funding is one topic which we can have a lot of separate gupshups about some experiences of people raising money right from the day one. The part of raising money till the point the deal was closed. So we look at those kind of conversations as we move around, in the series of gupshups. So I think yes, one question is yes, do you really need to raise money? Is that really a need? And yes, what is the best source to raise money at this point of time? So these are two most fundamental questions I think which needs to be asked before making any efforts on funding, because raising money is a very, very, very tedious task. It, it really takes a lot of your bandwidth, your effort, and a lot of times your primary work that you're trying to do as a startup really takes that bit. So at the right time, raise money from the right source, and money is a reality. I think that's the most fundamental outcome of this conversation. We cannot ignore money. That is definitely even for non-profit, money is a reality. I think they cannot do any social work if they don't have money. So money is a reality for everyone who is trying to solve any problem, maybe for profit, maybe for non-profit. The, the way they get this petrol into their engine might change for non-profits and for profits, but petrol के बिना गाड़ी नहीं चलेगी. So that's the kind of a fundamental outcome of this conversation कि आपको अगर आपका भली स्कूटर है, बाइक है, 4 व्हीलर है, 6 व्हीलर है, ट्रक है, it doesn't matter what kind of startup you have, but पेट्रोल के बिना वो गाड़ी नहीं चलेगी. You need a fuel. This fuel is required, and the best way to approach this long-term problem is to have self-sustaining model where ये इंजन ही कुछ फ्यूल बनाता रहे और आपकी गाड़ी चलती रहे. So I think that's what it has to become a kind of a renewable source of energy where it continuously gets us into that. So that I think is what we can take here from this today's conversation. And I think a lot of things came out where friends and family is definitely a good source. Angels are definitely a good source. Banks are definitely a good source. Government grants are definitely a good source. Funds from the funds and grants from the tech companies is also a good source. So there are many schemes, government schemes are also there. But let's first try to go back to the drawing board and see if we are creating a value for our customer, where there is a pill which can solve some pain. If that is validated, I'm sure the problem of money will get solved in due course of time. So with this,
Yashwant, you want to add anything very quickly as we sum up? Maybe 1 minute or so, if you want to sum up this entire conversation.
So, one thing I want to add is that sometimes you need to figure it out. Especially, she was mentioning about that due diligence of the investors also. They do harsh due diligence of our business. We should do that because we have found true vulture in the form of the venture.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe unka due diligence करना चाहिए. Very well point taken.
हाँ.
Very quick closing remarks from your side. Shrikanth, very quick. Yeah, very
Easy
quickly.
for me.
Want to sum up this conversation?
Yeah. Just to sum up, money again is honestly a reality. Agar money na ho, if you're not able to see how you can generate money, have your sustainable growth, everything is in vain. Don't look at what am I going to get, what am I going to raise, मैं कितना बना रहा हूँ, can I be self-sustained without any dependence on someone else. That's what is the end game. That's what is the business about. Making money, making for your self-sustenance.
Yeah. And
Concentration on what we are going to make is something super important.
Yeah, and I just want to acknowledge people who are watching us on YouTube. Yes, the fundamental reality is money. I think there has to be some source that you can generate money on a regular basis to solve a long-term issue. Otherwise, जैसा अभी सब लोगों ने कहा है, जितना भी पेट्रोल में टैंक में पेट्रोल डालोगे एक दिन तो खत्म होने वाला है. So petrol will come, petrol will go. So you have to have a continuous supply of petrol. So with this thought, I thank both of my co-hosts, everyone else who joined this wonderful morning. We wishing also would want to send best wishes to everyone on the auspicious occasion of Raksha Bandhan that we are celebrating tomorrow. All the best to you. आपकी जय हो, मंगल हो, शुभ हो, नमस्कार. Over to Simran. We'll again meet next Sunday morning with a different thing. Until then, please do take care of yourself. आप सब अपना ख्याल रखिए. Wish you a happy weekend, happy Sunday. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Simran.
Thank you, sir. Just a minute. Anyone who loved this session, here's the schedule for future Gupshup sessions. You can take a screenshot to join us in this amazing journey of different topics we take every Sunday. You can also scan this QR code and join our Lemon community where we regularly update the upcoming events and upcoming Gupshup sessions. The Innopreneur Season 11 is live and we have already done 2 rounds of Innopreneur Season 11. If you are interested, you can register by visiting our site or you can scan this QR code. You can also help us spread the word by telling your fellow entrepreneurs who are in this beautiful journey of innovation. You can also give your suggestions for future Gupshup sessions, just like this was on a topic money is a reality. If you want any specific topic to be covered in future Gupshups, you can suggest it in the chat box. Thank you, everyone. Now, before departing, let us please stand for National Anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे